One Zambia, one nation. Hello and welcome to the news. I am your presenter, Henry Himonde. The top stories in our news. Finance Minister presents 2024 national budget. North parents shun HPV vaccine. Lumwana Kambimba road to undergo facelift. And Tuvanganai Primary School in Solwezi on the verge of collapsing. The news in detail. Government has proposed to spend 177.9 billion kwacha in the 2024 national budget. Minister of Finance and National Planning, Stumbeko Musokotwani, has announced. Speaking when he presented the budget in Parliament today, Dr. Musokotwani explained that the 180 billion kwacha translates into over 27.8% of the gross domestic product GDP. Dr. Musokotwani says to support the expenditure, 141.1 billion kwacha will be raised through domestic revenue, while 3.4 billion kwacha will be in form of grants from cooperating partners and 33.3 billion kwacha is financing. And the minister also announced an increase in the allocation of the Constituency Development Fund CDF from 28.3 million kwacha to 30.6 million kwacha per constituency. He also announced the recruitment of about 9,400 public service workers in the health and education sectors.
To improve state delivery in the education sector, I propose to recruit 4,200 teachers and 1,200 non-teaching staff in the year 2024. And for this, I'm proposing to spend 356 million kwacha. Under health, Madam Speaker, to support the delivery of health services, I propose to allocate 20.9 billion kwacha, or 11.8% of the budget. Of this amount, 5 billion for the procurement of medicines and medical supplies. Madam, to increase access to health care for our citizens, I propose to allocate 1.4 billion towards health care infrastructure and developments across the country, including those big hospitals I spoke about earlier. Of this amount, 240 million will go towards the completion of the remaining 4 green hospitals.
Meanwhile, Minister of Finance and National Planning, Stumbeko Musokotwani, arrived at Parliament building in Lusaka at exactly 1340 hours to present the 2024 national budget, and various stakeholders have reacted to the national budget. Jen Simalumba gives us more in the following report.
Has come to present the 2024 national budget. Minister of Finance and National Planning, Dr. Stumbeko Musokotwani, who was here to present the national budget, arrived at Parliament buildings in Osaka at exactly 1340 hours. Mr. Musokotwani was accompanied by his wife, Mata Musokotwani, who was seen holding the golden briefcase which contained the national budget. He then proceeded to the chamber where he presented the national budget.
We are hoping that the pronouncements made and the allocations given will help actually expedite in terms of most of those agricultural pronouncements, like development of the farm blocks, which is actually in the rural areas and will actually help in terms of increasing food security in Zambia, and probably consequently reduce poverty levels and hunger levels. But also the human and social development pillar. The pronouncements have been made.
Jane Simalumba, ZANIS in Lusaka.
More than 1,017 Zambia Correctional Service officers have passed out at the Nyango Correctional Service Training Camp Recruit Course number 1 of 2022 intake in Kaoma District. The pass-out was graced by President Hakainde Hichilema and saw large scores of Zambians across the country in attendance. And President Hichilema has called for unity among officers, which promotes security in the country. Mulima Stumbeko has more in the following report.
It is a ceremony clad with splendor and pomp. This is the 2022 Course 1 intake pass-out graduation of Zambia Correctional Service officers at Nyango Training Camp in Kaoma District. Republican President Hakainde Hichilema, while addressing the graduates and stakeholders, emphasized on the need to create a security-stable country as a way of taking care of people's welfare.
1,017 who are graduating today out of almost 100,000 who applied to be like you, to graduate like yourselves. Aren't you lucky? Aren't you fortunate? Aren't you privileged? Express my happiness, really, for being present to grace this pass-out parade. Our service units should be and will be available to support the development agenda of this country. In agriculture, I did direct Commissioner General last year that Nyango here must produce and can produce enough food for itself and for other services around.
The Minister of Home Affairs, Jack Mwimbu, at the same function says the move to recruit more officers in the Zambia Correctional Service is to strengthen and speed up the dispensation of justice in the country.
Mr. President, I'm aware that your government is committed to the rule of law, justice, civil liberties and security of all citizens. Therefore, is committed to its strengthening all relevant institutions to guarantee safety, security, and fundamental human rights, civil liberties, and justice.
And Zambia Correctional Service Commissioner General says this year's pass-out has the largest number of officers graduates in the history of the service.
I therefore want to urge you recruits about to pass out today that you need to keep your job well by being loyal, honest, and hardworking. The fact that almost 100,000 young people applied to be in the positions you are in today attests the fact that your jobs are competitive.
The President emphasized on the Zambia Correctional Service to take up agriculture on a large scale to improve on the bread basket of the country. Mulima Stumbeko reporting for ZANIS News at Nyango Training Camp for Zambia Correctional Service in Kaoma District, Western Province.
In health news, Northern Province Health Director Ernest Mutale has expressed concern over the resistance by some parents to get their children vaccinated against the human papilloma virus, HPV. Dr. Mutale has revealed that health officers are facing challenges in convincing members of the public to allow their children to receive the vaccine. He has assured members of the public that the vaccine is safe and aimed at protecting the girl child from the human papilloma virus which causes cancer. The health practitioner has since called on parents to take advantage of the vaccination campaign, which is running from September 25th to 30th, 2023, targeting girls aged between 9 and 14. Meanwhile, a parent, Mary Mutale, has expressed concern over the vaccination of children in schools without the consent of their parents. Ms. Mutale says children have rights which should be protected and only a parent or guardian can make a decision on their behalf. She adds that she is not well informed about the vaccination, which makes it difficult for her to consent to the exercise. In other news, government has raised concern with the alarming number of dog bite cases in southern province that has exposed victims to cases of rabies. Provincial Permanent Secretary Naman Monze says the region records at least 14,600 cases of dog bites annually, which is saddening. We have the rest of the story in this report.
Rabies still remains one of the world's top public health concerns, with nearly 59,000 people losing their lives globally every year. And Zambia is not spared from this life-threatening disease. In southern province, an average of 14,600 dog bites are reported annually, exposing the victims to rabies. This has prompted government to put the fight against rabies a priority.
The new Dawn government has put the fight against rabies as one of its top priorities, and efforts range from providing free dog vaccination services and availability of rabies vaccine doses for us humans.
And government has adopted a multi-sectoral approach to enhance the fight against zoonotic diseases.
The government of the Republic of Zambia has adopted the One Health approach to fight the zoonotic diseases, which include rabies. Rabies need to be everyone's concern. Therefore, everyone should be involved in the fight.
Meanwhile, the provincial veterinary department and the local authority wants people in communities to spearhead the fight against rabies.
So we request all the residents to come through, to have their pets and other animals registered, so that we also take stock of dog population and eventually get the dogs and the pets for vaccination.
The ultimate goal is to eradicate zoonotic diseases, especially rabies, by 2030. And we can only achieve that through your support.
Wakmelo Stali, ZANIS, in Choma District, Southern Province.
As we continue with the news, this year's 16 days of gender activism commemorations will be held in Mumena Chiefdom in Northwestern Province. This has elated Chief Mumena of the Kaonde people of Kalumbila District, who has revealed that bringing such activities to the local community members will enhance the attainment of gender rights, especially for the women and young girls who are vulnerable to GBV. Chief Mena adds that poverty has become a major contributing factor to the rising cases of GBV, and empowering women to become self-sustaining and financially independent will help in curbing the vice. He has further implored the Gender Division and Non-Governmental Coordinating Committee to bring men on board and ensure that they are also part of the fight against GBV. A Northwestern Province Principal Gender Officer Limpo Sishakenu is hopeful that the event will help in curbing the escalating cases of GBV.
We are approaching the time of when we remember the 16 days against of activism against GBV. And thank you very much for bringing the celebration this time around to Mumena. The higher the levels of poverty, the higher the gender violence. As we raise the women, we raise the household, we raise the community programs, that is really going to help us out.
Being the head of the village, that should help us also mobilize, because we would want it to actually bring change.
Vice President Mtalena Lumango says there is need to promote integration of the church and the business community for national development. Mrs. Nalumango says the church and business communities are allies in fostering the national development agenda forward. She said this is why the church should strategically work together with the business community to leverage the diverse opportunities presented by the spectrum of professional domains to grow and equip congregations. The Vice President said this at a cocktail meeting for leaders, business persons and senior clergy in Lusaka. And Revival Ministries And Revival Ministries International founder Rodney Howard Brown says he is on a mission of touring 10 African countries to share the gospel and helping in business development. Meanwhile, Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia chairperson Paul Mususu says the church does not only preach the gospel but also helps to enhance social activities that uplift the livelihoods of its members.
An upgraded approach in preaching the gospel is what is needed and required, and this must be responsive to the real economic and social challenges of the people we are serving. Very, very true. I am grateful that this is the dimension of the gospel you are propagating today. Once more, congratulations, the clergy, for embracing the business world in advancing your agenda. Brothers and sisters in Christ, it must be emphasized here that it is the government's belief that the church and the business community are allies in fostering and pushing the developmental agenda forward. The church, throughout history, has been a cornerstone of our communities. It has not only been a place of worship, but also a source of guidance, comfort, and inspiration. Today, we gather not just to listen, learn, and celebrate the religious aspect of the church, but to recognize its profound influence on our society's development, especially while working hand in hand with the business and the professional community.
Our purpose for this tour is threefold. Number one, to come into governmental realms and to talk to government leaders and talk to them about protecting their nation, their border, their people, their culture, their food supply, their water supply, and I don't want to get too much into it, but as you know, there are many strangers that come in from the outside, and before you know, you don't own anything, and you basically work for somebody else. They've come in and taken everything that really is yours. Zambia is a very, very wealthy country, but there's outside forces coming in and stealing everything. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. It's over. Tell them you can go back to where you came from. But if you come here, you're going to recognize this land and this people. And we're not going to be subservient to you.
Tonight is a special meeting, a special gathering, that we are touching the spiritual aspect of our lives. We also want to talk about businesses that can make our livelihood acceptable, and that is the core for the church. I know that many Christians will take exception to do social engagement, because ours is to save souls. But those souls, while they are in the body, they need to be fed, they need to eat. So we want to speak to you about businesses. We cannot afford, as Africans, to let others come and dominate what God has bestowed on Africa. God has given us so much, and yet we go to other nations that do not have what we have to beg from their arms. I think we would say, as my Nigerian brothers and sisters said, enough is enough.
We continue with the news and to Northwestern Province now, where an agreement to upgrade the Lumwana-Kambimba Road to bituminous standard has been signed, cheering stakeholders in the region. We have the details in the following report.
The signing of the concession agreement to upgrade Lumwana-Kambimba Road to bituminous standard has cheered stakeholders in Northwestern Province. Gili Kakunta is Northwestern Investments and Development Foundation President.
All the people in the Northwestern are excited for this project. It has come at the right time. This project has come to boost trade between DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Zambia.
Mr. Kakunta has also appealed to the government to quicken the process of working on other roads in the province.
Kambimba-Rumwana Road may not be the only viable road or project. We also need a road from Kasempa to Kaoma, very economical. Kasempa to Mumbwa, very economical. Solwezi to Kipushi. Mainly these four roads are very economical and we need urgent attention.
And Northwestern Council of Elders Secretary Kenneth Kapata has commended the government for the development. Mr. Kapata adds that the province is looking forward to having more economic roads worked on.
We are only hoping that, as per yesterday, what has remained to be signed will be signed as well. All right, we have a road from here to Mshindamo, a road from here to Kaoma, from Kasempa to Kaoma rather, a road from Watopa to Lukulu, a road from Kelengi all the way, Jimbe rather, up to Mtanda. We are waiting to see how this will be taken care of.
The project has a concession of 25 years, of which 2 years is for construction, while 23 years is for the operation and maintenance by the concessionaire. For ZANIS, in Solwezi District, Northwestern Province, I am Marin Lovo.
Meanwhile, in a related development, the Zambia National Service has completed rehabilitating the multi-purpose Mituku Dam in Solwezi District. Northwestern Province Permanent Secretary Gladson Katambi, who went for a final inspection, says there is need to protect the water which is meant for domestic use from contamination. Hemit Hajilonde filed in this report.
The rehabilitation of Mitukutuku Dam, which commenced on 27th of September 2022, is now complete and ready for commissioning. Northwestern Province Permanent Secretary Colonel Gladson Katambi, retired, made the final inspection.
Take into consideration the siting of septic tanks, because if people are late or allowed to site them on their own, they have got the potential of contaminating this water. And yet, we are being told that the same water might be very soon might be used by the populace around here. So there's need to protect this water from contamination. And we can only do that if the siting of septic tanks is regulated and carefully, checked. Because Solwezi is sitting on septic tanks. Yes. And that's why groundwater in Solwezi is not very safe.
Northwestern Province Water Development Officer Dr. George Ndrovu explains the main purpose of a man-made 2 million cubic meters water reservoir in Solwezi District.
It used to be 1.5 million cubic meters, but now it's 2 million cubic meters of water that has been stored. It is robust. It is a multi-purpose dam. It's meant for fishing, agriculture, hydropower generation, and other forms of water uses downstream, such as supporting the aquatic life.
Dr. Ndrovu says the dam is now ready for commissioning.
The cost of rehabilitation was 2.5 million, and it is now ready for commissioning. We came here with the Permanent Secretary for Northwestern Province to come and have a final check or final inspection. So it has been inspected, and now we'll be looking at a program of commissioning it.
Reporting for ZANIS in Solwezi District, Northwestern Province, I'm Hemit Hachinonde.
Tuvanganai Primary School head teacher Eliza Namakando is calling on government aid to help secure the life and education of pupils by renovating the dilapidated school infrastructure. Mrs. Namakando says learners are likely to stop going to school once the rains start due to the damaged roof to the building. Jennifer Mutoshi now reports.
This is a potential death trap for learners at Tuvanganai Primary School in Solwezi, as seen from the state of the structure. This was the first block that was built since the inception of the school in the early 80s. Until date, no single rehabilitation has been done. The school head teacher explains what has worsened the situation.
We had a storm in February 2023,
where we experienced the roof to one of the blocks, which was almost blown off by the rains. So from that time, we have tried knocking on the doors of those that can help us. Our fear is that it is posing as a hazard to our learners. Should there be a strong wind, we don't know what can happen.
The head teacher equally has an appeal.
We appreciate that the government is giving us funding, but when you consider the funding that we are receiving to the enrollment, we are not making it, because the portion which is given for infrastructure is about 2,000, sometimes even less than that. Therefore, we appreciate if we have even well-wishers or the government. We know our government will not let us down.
Parents are equally concerned with the current state of the building.
Please, the government must look at us at Tumvanganai Primary School. Our school is not good. The schools are bad. I am worried about the coming of rain season.
It can only be hoped that help will soon be found for these learners to avoid disruptions and loss of life. Jian Famtoshi for ZANIS News in Solwezi District.
And finally, government has commended the World Food Programme through its implementing partner, Self-Help Africa, for effectively promoting agriculture as a business among small-scale farmers in Eastern Province. Eastern Province Agricultural Coordinator Adrian Nansungwe says the project is targeted at creating a thriving business environment for smallholder farmers. Here's a report.
The promotion of farming as a business by Self-Help Africa is effectively meant not to only contribute to the national development of the country, but also improve the welfare of local farmers in Eastern Province. The hosting of the engagement meeting to orient farmers on the importance of the Farm to Market Alliance project is one initiative meant to promote agriculture as a business. Eastern Province Agriculture Information Officer Chisombu Diaunka represented the Provincial Agriculture Coordinating Officer, Adrian Nansungwe.
This is a very important event, a day when farmer service centers and agriculture service providers in the Eastern region come together to share experiences, lessons learned, and opportunities in order to improve the provision of agricultural services. I'm aware that the United Nations World Food Programme, WFP, through its implementing partner, Self-Help Africa, is implementing the Farm to Market Alliance project in the Eastern Province. Since project inception, Self-Help Africa have worked very closely with key agriculture service providers. This is evident from the achievements that have been recorded by farmer service centers through provision of services to small farmers.
Self-Help Africa Country Director Eli Amanda outlines the importance of the Farm to Market Alliance project.
Self-Help Africa is an international NGO which works with mainly smallholders, smallholder farmers who seek to improve their livelihoods, especially in the areas of food, income and nutrition security. We've been working in Zambia for a while, for over 35 years, and then in the Eastern Province we've been around for about 15 years. On this particular project, we have been engaged by the World Food Programme to implement the Farm to Market Alliance project, which is a project which seeks to bring the services, agricultural services, closer to the smallholder farmers, especially through the farm service centers. The farmer service centers are centers where farmers are able to access different kinds of services, agricultural services, which include agricultural inputs, agricultural information services, as well as even mechanization, agricultural mechanization services. This project has been running since April last year, 2022. And so far we are working in 4 districts here in the Eastern Province. We are in Petauke, in Sinda, Katete, and Lundazi districts.
And the farmers in Eastern Province welcome the Farm to Market Alliance project.
Nenzovutika kupeleka bana ku skulu, ma school uniform na masapato. Koma manje vose nikwanisa. Pano pamene nilili manje. Mwana ali ku college chifukwa cha ubwino wa Farm to Market Alliance.
So chitathandiza maningi unakuwa mpaka napatipanga ma commission more than 5,000 per month kuchokera kula alimi mu mobile money chali. So yatathandiza maningi project ino kunakuwa tu.
Sylvester Shimba for ZANIS in Chipata.
Well, that item ends the news, but before we go, let's take another look at the top stories. Finance Minister presents 2024 national budget. North parents shun HPV vaccine. Lumwana Kambimba Road to undergo facelift. And Tuvanganai Primary School in Solwezi on the verge of collapsing. Thank you so much for watching the news. On behalf of the entire news production crew, my name is Henry Himonde. Until next time, it's goodbye.